All right, Battle Brothers back from LVO doing our first podcast here. We're going to talk a little bit about LVO, what we're doing, what we're working on, new armies, and all that jazz. Cody, what are you working on?
I'm working on my tuner collection, so Hive Fleet Typhon. I've got 3 Hive Guard with Impaler cannons I'm painting up, and I've got 3 Raveners as well. Getting into the highlight stage and painting up their bases. So looking forward to getting this project done.
On to George.
I've got about 12 drones that I got to put some finishing touches on, and about 10 Poxwalkers. I'm hoping to do the same thing. So a little bit of both sides of the gambit tonight.
Nick?
Some Wolf Slayers, since you're going to be building some wolves. I got some Thousand Suns for my new army. Just some Rubik Marines and some Zangors.
And Bods.
Well, after a surprisingly strong finish at LVO, I'm going to be refining my Salamanders list for the rest of the season.
All right. And I'm putting together a new Space Wolves army. So hopefully I can take out those Thousand Suns and do what they do best. Kill them. My name's Lucas, and let's get this show started. All right, LVO. Matt, you might as well start.
Well, I don't know.
Since you're the star of
Big celebrity now, I guess. Yeah. For those that don't know, my name is Matt Bonnerchuk, and I finished second Renaissance Man at LVO 2018. Went into LVO thinking winning 50% of my games was going to be a good target, but after finishing strong on my first day, I figured that I was probably going to go ahead and just shoot for best Renaissance Man.
Renaissance Man. What exactly does Renaissance Man mean?
It's actually the definition of Renaissance Man. I looked it up the other day because I didn't know myself. Was a man with many talents, or woman.
True. Yeah. What's Renaissance a word? I guess.
And that definitely describes you.
Yes,
A woman.
So, Renaissance is actually at LVO is both appearance and battle score combined, and
how did you do this? How did you finish?
Battle score I finished 4-2. There was a lot of competition going into day 2 where I actually thought that I may have a chance, and halfway through day 2 it was looking like I had a very good chance of winning. You go into the tournament not really knowing, because there's 515 opponents at that tournament, and you only see a few armies, and I know from just people running into in the hobby, in the community, there was definitely some contenders there with great armies and very strong opponents. Lucas wasn't one of them, but
no, I was not. This was definitely my very first LVO, my second tournament ever, and pretty much my first army ever. I did a little bit of orcs like way back in the day, but I went there with Mechanicum, and I'm pretty sure I placed around 410th, not last. That was my goal, so I hit my goal. Definitely not last.
But how mad were you that you didn't win that last place trophy?
Well, that's the thing, is I didn't know there was a last place trophy, else I would have botched that one game I won.
That was a really nice wooden bolt pistol, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I think I was one of the highlights of the trip for me was walking in. I didn't actually compete in champs this year. I was a little bit late to the game, and I don't think I quite had the balls. But going into the Champs Hall at 40,000 square feet of gamers, which surprisingly was well air conditioned and didn't smell like BO. So kudos to the frontline guys for that. And Bally's. The friend of the Battle Brothers and honorary Battle Brother himself, Bob, from down in Spokane, always brings the heat when it comes to really well put together army, and he's no slouch at the table as well. And watching this sort of camaraderie between Matt and Bob, who didn't have an opportunity to play each other, but it was looking like they might at Game 3 was really cool to see. And I think from the beginning we were thinking these two guys might be the contenders for at least a podium for Renaissance.
Bob Kelly, he's become a pretty good friend of the group, and he has an amazing Black Legion army. Like, there's really, you don't see too many armies out there these days that have the effort and time put into them. And Bob has the ability, being a store owner, to play lots and lots of games.
Those conversions he has are wicked, though.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
does.
brought he actually painted up 12 obliterators for the occasion, and that was pretty much his list. And back in, I want to say, November, we had there was a team tournament going on, and I went down there to help out in Spokane, and me and Bob actually had an opportunity to play a game against each other, and I actually believe that I had seized on him, and I almost tabled him at the beginning of the game, and then it was just blow for blow. As soon as those obliterators dropped with the baton, it was blow for blow all game, and Bob ended up taking the win. I believe it was like 21-17, and it was good for me because that gave me a chance to maybe tweak my list a little bit and prepare for what LVO had to offer.
And Matt, what were you playing when you played Bob and at LVO? Like, what army
Okay,
was you playing?
so I played Salamander's army, and my army that I played Bob that game was actually quite a bit different than the army I was planning on taking, but I had only brought in certain models down there to the shop, not expecting to play. I was going to be the ringer, but when you be the ringer, you kind of play a little bit of funner army, and just so you don't actually crush the bottom tier players, so they actually want to keep coming back and playing. But so when I played Bob, I played 2 squads of Terminators, a couple Predators, a Fire Raptor, some Rapier Heavy Bolters, and I think I had a Whirlwind as well, and a Captain, and I think that's about it. And a lot of people in this edition, it happened to me twice at LVO where I dropped my Thunderhammer Terminator squad from Deep Strike, and my opponent laughed at me, and they actually became the game changer for me. They actually turned the game around and won me the game.
These are 5 Thunderhammer Termies. Sound like
5.
chapter tactics.
Yeah.
So your chapter tactics, do they really help you with the Thunderhammer Termy?
People just cringe when they see you picking up dice to re-roll them in any circumstance, especially when they're doing 3 damage apiece. And I happen to be very lucky with my dice rolls. It seems like whenever I get into a critical spot with those Terminators, I roll box squares both times for my charges. So, what are you gonna do?
How when you went down and you played Bob, like one of the boogeymen, obviously at the LVO was not 12 Oblits. Or
It was not.
even a Fire Raptor.
Yeah.
But when you played against Bob, how did that feel? Like, did you feel like that was something you had to worry about?
The Obliterators, I actually had changed my list a bit, and I dropped. So my list for LVO, I'll start from the beginning. I played a Captain in every game. It was a Captain on a bike, and I upgraded 3 command points for the Chapter Master rule. Every game, that is how my army is built, to play with that, to reroll all my hits. Followed up with a Lieutenant. I was running a battalion, and I had 3 Scout squads with Bolters. I had a Terminator squad with all Thunderhammers, 5-man unit. I had 2 Predators with blast cannons. I had 2 attack bikes with multi-meltas. I ran a Leviathan Dreadnought, Relic Punisher, and a Fire Raptor with blast cannons as well. And I did take an auxiliary Rapier Heavy Bolter. Was it worth the command point to lose? Probably not, but it had come down to that's what I had to take to LVO, and that's where I settled on.
What would you change now, having gone to LVO and faced what you faced? Is there anything about your list you'd change?
I actually, surprisingly, I talked about it with a couple of the guys, Cody, Nick, Lucas, about dropping my Leviathan and putting another Rapier in for the heavy bolters, and also putting in Celestine to give me that distraction that I might require. But one thing I realized the second we got to LVO that made a lot of sense to me was that playing small elite armies with major hitting power is the way to go, because the only way to get points in these new championship missions is to play all your turns. And as Lucas can attest, that did not happen when you're playing Eldar and rookie players.
Yeah, but in our defense, the lower tier
Who's our
war,
defense?
the 400 and under, we'll call us the 400. The 400s. We're obviously not great players. And I highly doubt that even if I played a small elite army, we would have got through all 6 turns.
Yeah, but did any of the Eldar in the top 10 make it past turn 3 in the other games?
I actually
Unless they tabled.
I did
I don't think they
play an Eldar in my 6th game, a Ynnari Eldar army. I want to save that, what happened in the game, but I will say that we did finish our game. But I was actually tabled on the last turn.
And did you win that one? You lost it.
I did not.
You did not?
I did.
Well, that's with the new
yeah.
rules. You can being tabled, you can still win.
Yeah, of course,
Which was
yeah.
a bonus for me going down there as like a really shitty Warhammer player, knowing that if I maybe got a couple more points on the missions, even if I got tabled, I could maybe still win. But let me
I want to
preface.
interject on that really quickly.
Yeah, I was
You're
about
not only for the sake of the podcast was I not interrupting you, but you're not a shitty Warhammer player.
Yeah, so just to fill you on Lucas a little bit, Lucas has been in our competitive group, I'd say, or casually competitive, for a year and a bit.
Maybe.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah,
Maybe.
and he's
Just
already
maybe.
going to competitive tournaments and thinking he's a bad player because he's not finishing in the top quarter or whatever. But a lot of us have been playing for a really long time, so you need to give yourself a little more credit there. I think for sure.
Or when I get my first
20
GT win, I'll start getting myself some credit.
Well,
Let me just preference this. For everyone who's listening, you're going to hear a lot of bangs, scratches, scrapes. That's because this group, this podcast that we're doing, we're also painting, modeling, doing anything we can to advance all of our hobbying. We are competitive players. We do competitive tournaments, but we also model and paint, and we're parents. So recording a podcast, painting, and doing all that stuff all separately is just a ludicrous idea to any one of us.
got time
So
for
we have to we have a very small block of time to work in, and we're going to be doing all that. So don't get deterred by any of the sounds you hear in the background. Just get excited because those are new armies coming to life. What were you saying there,
Maybe
Buzz?
they'll see at the table.
Yeah.
so I guess maybe I will get into, if anybody's interested about hearing my games for LVO, and how they went.
Yeah. Do you want to start going into like the minutia of our days, or do you want to start kind of higher level, like talking about the experience? Or do you want to go back to it?
No, I'll start with the days. I think that, and then we can comment on how the overall experience was. I think that was
I think that's a good idea.
good.
Cool.
So I actually was fairly nervous going into LVO. I had prepared quite a bit. I finished very strong in 7th edition, and I was not really looking forward to going into 8th.
You were gonna quit.
I was ready. I was
You
I was
were ready to quit.
You know,
I think that's a fair statement.
I really didn't think that the game was going to offer me the same experience that it did in 7th. And I know a lot of people are going to argue that with me, that you played more douchebags in 7th edition than you could probably name. And I think that the funny part is a lot of those douchebags are still around, and they're struggling seriously in 8th edition. And I witnessed a few of these episodes at LVO, and it was very satisfying. But I will comment that after giving 8th edition a shot and realizing that my skills as a player really were able to show more now that I wasn't playing Wolf Stars and or Bark Stars, I guess. And
So why is that? Like, what is it? Just what rule changes? Like, what do you think is different from 7th to 8th? Is it just the Death Stars, or is it the whole rule set? Like, what's
I don't think you can really argue that it was the Death Stars. Like, I talked to a good buddy of mine, Mason Moore, about it. He's an Orc player, and he was like, "Man, I was so happy. I hate Death Stars. Like, I'm so happy they're over."
He's the Orc.
Yeah.
He is the Orc player. Mason Moore is the Orc player in North America. As I think everybody here would be willing to argue. And
Absolutely, the Pacific Northwest for sure.
but I didn't agree with him that the Death Stars were dead
Because orcs have Death Star.
Actually, I will start this. I'll go there then. I played Mason Moore at the Harvester Souls for best overall for the 1 GT that I've played since LVO, I guess. The Harvester Souls, it is a 60-man tournament in Spokane, Washington at the Gamers Haven. It's probably my favorite tournament to go to, and me and Mason have been battling for a while, and 7th edition I really didn't have a chance to beat Mason. My army just was not good enough because I was still playing Space Marines, and he bounced a bit, but he was playing Orcs mostly. So it came down to our second day. I played him on the 5th game, our last game of the tournament, and the game ended with him having 4 characters on the last 3 turns, and me having a almost dead Punisher and a full wound Fire Raptor, and I could not win the game because of the character rule, and because I could only target one at a time. And then on the last turn, he rolled boxcars to charge me with one of his, I don't know, war bosses, Big Macs, whatever they are, and blew up my Punisher, which left me with only my Fire Raptor on the ground, full wounds, and I lost to Boots on the ground. And he ended up beating me for best overall. I came second, and a good game, but I was pretty sour about it because that rule had just come out, and I only play 1 flyer, not like Nick here who was playing as many flyers as you could get at one time.
No, that's not true. Come on. I played 2.
I
Two's
hate,
still
I
too
hate it
many.
when people like spam flyers. It's my
Yeah,
pet peeve.
I know.
But you know,
Especially
like
Flyrants.
Yeah, the guy who runs 5
the
flyers.
whole thing with the Storm Ravens, you know, if you want to play 5 Storm Ravens, that's fine. But as long as they're pointed appropriately, I think it really doesn't matter. And now with those point adjustments, how many times have you played a Storm Raven, Nick? 0, I think.
No,
it
I
is.
played him.
Just like at home by yourself with Carter, your son, or
Hey, he's got to learn. Gotta give him a chance.
so. Anyway,
that
so
sounds like tough love.
I don't know if Carter knows about the FAQ yet.
getting a little off topic here. So, going to LVO, like really excited. I was actually kind of hoping that more of the boys would be able to get down, but you know everybody's got life going on. But 3 of us were able to make it. One, George, short notice, was able to come, and it turned out to be a great weekend. We prepared our display boards. I cut mine in half. I packed it in my suitcase, hoping for the best. You know, like I just making that effort to.
Did everything survive the trip?
You know, I almost left it there when we did leave because it was in such rough shape. But for the actual day, it looked pretty good. It looked as good as it could after cutting your display board in half with a X-Acto knife. So it was okay.
Oh, we used the Dremel too.
I used the Dremel too, yeah. So anyway, so I guess we woke up on the Friday morning. Me and Lucas quickly packed up all our stuff and headed downstairs to get our paint judging, which actually I thought was kind of lame because a lot of the effort to going to LVO was showing off our armies. Like Lucas painted his army from scratch. He did it in such a record time and did such a good job. For it to only be displayed for 5 minutes was absolute shame as far as I'm concerned.
The only disappointment for me at all about LVO was that whole armies on parade kind of deal. I get that they're really low staff, but one guy in one table for 500, potentially 500 people to put their armies down, I feel like they would have been better off like on the Sunday when only 8 players were playing.
Yeah.
Put all of your armies out there. We know what those 8 players' armies look like.
Yeah.
They're probably not amazing. They're probably really good as well. I don't really know. I didn't see those tables. I was pretty hungover that Sunday.
From what I understand, actually, one of the players' top table, none of his wave serpents had turrets on them. So I don't know how those weren't pulled.
I'm not
But
going to name names.
we're not going to name names, but you know who you are. So
I think that I agree that sent a very real message. And I know that they stepped it up from the hobby side. This is the first year that they included the Las Vegas Open Painting Competition as part of it. It ran parallel with the actual convention. But the act that there was one paint judge, there was an hour available at the beginning of the event. And while the paint judge was working, they had another judge who was circling the table shouting, "If you are not in the running for Renaissance or Best Hobbyist, don't bother putting your army down to be judged."
Yeah, that's pretty
Like,
shitty.
You're sending a very real message that this doesn't really matter. And that's a little bit disappointing because, let's face it, probably 80% of people who play this game actually spend as much time or more time hobbying on those models than they do putting those models on a tabletop.
And even if they're just looking for feedback, right?
Yeah. And that really, honestly, there was no opportunity for feedback there.
even an attaboy, saying, "Hey man, you're doing a great job. Like keep it up, improve." Like I will say, every member of the BC Battle Brothers, any army that they play, Lucas, Cody, Nick, George, myself, they were a contender for Best Renaissance. That is how this team plays. We play painted or die.
Well,
That is our
whole
motto.
hobbyists, right?
We're full hobbyists.
We definitely consider ourselves whole hobbyists. So the competitive end, or list building, to gameplay, to making good models, painting good models,
And sportsmanship.
Yeah,
Sportsmanship
as well.
overall, I
No,
believe.
Canadian.
It's unfortunate, and I will get back to the whole 7th versus 8th edition. We're still in a growing pain right now, where 8th edition is fairly new. Not everybody has a book. Everybody's running off, or half the people are running off index. And I run into Alex Gonzalez, who was actually #1 Necron player last year for the ITC. And he actually was like, you know what? I'm not playing 40k right now. I'm playing only Age of Sigmar because I'm waiting for Necrons to get a book because
It's just not interesting.
Well, he'll be playing in a couple months.
from the news drop, it sounds like Necrons is definitely going to be a contender. But at the same time, like I'm a Sisters of Battle player. I haven't had a book in 15 years. You know what I mean? Like but they're still competitive. Like there's a couple players out there. I believe there was one in the top 15 at LVO that I looked at his list, and it was basically the same thing that I would play.
I think Beard from Tabletop Tactics is playing Sisters.
No, there was a few Sisters players, and they all did very well. But like as far as the whole painting thing, they're probably the most expensive army to play for models go. Strategically, you've got to be a real player to play them. But at the same time, you're playing Sisters of Battle, so like you're there to play Sisters of Battle. Like you just love the army. And I guess that's the same thing as being an AdMech player because nobody really likes them. So. And their book was brutal.
I don't even like them.
Any AdMech on your paint stand there?
No, there's no AdMech anymore on my paint stand. They actually haven't even been pulled out of the LVO carrying case that I have them in. They're still there, and my guess is they're going to stay there probably for the next couple of years. Although I'll probably play those robots. The only note I made this whole entire weekend was buy more fucking robots.
I'm actually really surprised though. You guys are saying there's no sportsmanship awards.
Well, there definitely was some
There.
thumbs down on the weekend.
No, but that's still, most people don't want any form of conflict, because I know a lot of those you have to actually on it it'll say you need to give reasons to the TO as to why you're giving them a fail or a thumbs down, and most people don't want conflict, so they're not going to do it anyways. It's usually got to be something pretty gnarly.
And I will touch on that. Like if you're playing in the bottom 300 players, sportsmanship should be your #1 thing going into the game. Nobody
should be the
cares
#1 thing
if
anyway.
you went 2-4, 3-3. Like you're there in Vegas, have a good time. Like
Yeah,
just play players from all over the world that you've never played against, And I agree on the thumbs up, thumbs down. But how hard would it be to add something into the Best Coast Pairings app where it was like, this guy was a top-notch player. It was a lot of fun to play against.
Yeah.
He gets a 10 out of 10 or a 5 out of 5 or whatever it is, and have it calculated that way. Because in reality, as we saw at the final tables this year, sportsmanship can really change the experience for a player. And I know that
For the better.
for the better, yeah, and I know that Tony G, you learned a valuable lesson this year, and I hope you remember that.
Yeah.
I think anytime you put a cash prize out there, though, then you are gonna take some of the sportsmanship out of it, because you're gonna get people there that are gonna get close to, okay, I'm in the running for that cash prize. They may get a little out of how they normally would act.
Maybe it's the Canadian in me, but I would never sacrifice my honor for a cash prize of that amount.
Especially not publicly.
Publicly, especially on live.
Oh, I know a few
Twitch.
privately things you'd do for $5.
There's plenty of things I would do privately that would compromise my dignity.
Well, and I don't know if the cash prize is the only culprit, because a title like winning, some people are there to get FTC Best in
I
Faction.
mean, LVO, Best
Yeah.
in Faction, and
some serious
LVO
bragging
was all on
rights,
there.
right? And then not only that, you tend to get a little bit more well respected in the community when you say something or have ideas.
And Buddy
or-
apologized. He said he was out of line.
Yeah.
So I'm super new. Can you solve that by making the hobbying portion of this hobby more prevalent? Like that armies on parade and painting, and like if you don't have cannons on your Reapers or whatever that guy didn't have, those models are gone. Like you can't even play them.
I know
Can
they-
you-
There was one guy
Guys.
that was booted because his models were not painted.
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually. In being there at the event, leading up to it, they were very clear. Frontline was very clear that they were advertising. Judges would be circling, and the first thing they'd be looking for is anything that didn't meet a strict painting requirement. The 3-color minimum wasn't just 3-color minimum. They were going to be looking for people who didn't put any effort in, and that any model that reflected that was going to be lifted by the judge and placed off of the table, and that was that. And did you guys see any of that or hear? any of
I never
that?
saw one single.
There was one guy booted from the tournament.
Yeah, but I don't even think his stuff was modeled. Like,
Yeah. But you know what? I will make a comment on that. And this is going to tie into sportsmanship for me. My final game against the Eldar Inari player, all of his Dark Reapers weren't on bases. And I will say, sorry, they weren't on bases, or there was bases on the board without a Dark Reaper model on the
He
board.
had an excuse for that, right?
He had an excuse that he stepped on his models or whatever, but and that's fine. But like,
pick
we're
up a
talking
phone.
of quite a few models here, and you know what? As being a believer in sportsmanship, I'm not calling a judge, and I'm not going to call him out on that, because you know what? I just don't care enough. Like, if I would have won my final game, I probably would have won Best in Renaissance, but that wasn't worth me going to that level, saying, you know what, man, like,
You weren't going to win on those terms.
I wasn't going to win on those terms. If I win, I win. If I lose, then I come second or third or fourth or whatever, it's going to be on those terms. I'm going to go back to the drawing board. I'm going to see what I could do to change my game as opposed to changing somebody else's game. And, I doubt he felt great about having those models on the board, especially when he's playing an army that won second in Renaissance, and my army looked great on the board. I don't have to call him out and make him feel bad that his army looks like shit or whatever. And this is not what we're about. Like, you know what I mean?
I agree with you. I'm gonna play devil's advocate just for the sake of
I'm glad because I
The
don't
other
think
point.
I was.
Yeah, no, I want.
I have so many weekends a year that I can take away on my own, and I can nerd out with my buddies and play little toy soldiers on the table. And the days that I can't go and do that, I'm taking those toy soldiers and I'm making them look as real as I can, putting hours into them so that my experience and my opponents is worth that time out. Factor into that thousands of dollars we all spent to go down there. and you went down there and you played a guy who had bases on the table with no models on it. Like,
I also had that
is
experience.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is heartbreaking to think. Now that guy, maybe he lives in Vegas. Maybe he just started playing that day. Who knows? Everybody's got a different story. Everybody's got a battle that they're working through. But just to play devil's advocate, how do you guys feel about the reciprocation of the amount of effort that you're putting in?
Well, you know how I feel like when we went down to I can't remember if it was Storm or Harvester that time, and I go up against a list there that is unicorns with fairies on top of them, and those are supposed to be Space Marine bikers.
I think Thundercab, if I recall.
Oh yeah, they might have been Thundercat, and yeah, that's not okay with me. Like
Yeah,
I can go to the dollar store too and buy a bunch of plastic army men and throw them on the table if I want, and say, hey, here's my Imperial Guard army.
I will say one thing on this subject, and I agree with you 1,000%. But you know, if the only
comes down to
way
the
I'm
tournament
able to
organizer.
get to that tournament is so my wife can tag along and play in the tournament, and this is what she has, so be it. She
Yep.
was not in contention for any prize.
See, my wife's freaking.
You know, but hey,
Thing
hold
right
on
here.
though. Like, you know, it's all fair. Like, you know, we are all blessed here with like good jobs and able to afford to do the hobby, and you know, and this is again devil's advocate because I'm not defending him at all, but I see that aspect of like, if my wife wanted to come play and she wanted to do this and she wanted to play unicorns on bases with fairies,
And that was going to get you to
I
LVO.
don't.
Yeah, well, really, it comes down to the tournament organizers. Gotta
and fair
gotta
enough.
set a standard though.
But you know what? Again, like if the tournament organizer is like a close personal friend to you, he's not going to say no to that. And I get where he's coming from, but at the same time, like we go down there for the same reasons you do. But if that army won a best in faction or
Yeah.
painting prize, like what if those unicorns are painted like, you know, gold crystal brush?
Yeah, at least there's effort put into it.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't even think they were actually painted by
No,
them.
but-
They were like store-bought painted, and then they threw some glitter glue on them or something.
That's what I'm saying, right? Is if that had the crystal brush,
Not that
even
Nick is bothered by it at all.
even if it had the crystal brush stamp on it, they still should not be in the running for best painted.
No,
army.
not at all.
And that's fine with me. Like whatever. It's like if you, if you can't go to the Storm and beat a unicorn army
I didn't actually play it, but
with your Blood Angels,
which finally become like competitive, and I'm not at the tournament.
So, just back quickly to the painting. What irks me as a new player, and like I said, this is my LVO is my second tournament only. The first tournament I went to, I can't even count because it was the first ever 8th, and it was bring stuff that isn't even modeled. Like it doesn't matter, just come and have fun and play a tournament to get a fill for 8th. It was an RTT. There was like it was great. Half my stuff that I brought wasn't painting, so I can't say that. But after putting in so much time and effort in the last 4 months to complete my army to a standard that I felt that was deserving of a tournament like LVO, to go to a table, and even if it's bottom tables, and play someone who just puts stems on his base, or you can tell all he's done was spray painted his entire army and then hit it with like a couple colors. Like I could have done that with a whole bunch of models and played a much more competitive list than I had, but I chose to really put my time and effort into the painting. So it almost hurts. It almost irks me to play against those players, and it makes it worse because they beat me because I don't have enough experience. You know,
but were they
you're too busy
real
hobbying.
losses though? Like how many turns did you play on each one of your
That's a
losses?
good point.
like on my losses, I probably played 3 turns maximum.
Yeah, that's right.
Maximum.
Yeah,
Like,
you didn't,
lose.
play,
And
you
I-
didn't play a game of Warhammer.
I feel like at least a minimum at being super kind and generous, one of those I 100% would have won if I played 5 turns or 6 turns.
I think if it's gotten to the point, sorry, Cody, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's why I'd love personally to see the ITC come out with some form of an overall standing as well. something that takes into account like appearance, sportsmanship, and best general role, because I find the people that do put in more time into modeling and painting and stuff, a lot of times they can't pull together the same level of competitive list that somebody who doesn't care as much about painting. And that's fine if painting isn't your thing, and some people don't have access to somebody to teach them how to paint, and it's a long road to get to that level. But then you could go after, if you want just competitive play and that's all you're worried about, you can go for that. If you're somebody who wants to be competitive and still put in a lot of time to your list and making it look well or look great, then there's that aspect too. So I guess more of like a whole hobby and more of just a best general.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to see, but I mean, obviously it's a lot of work. And
I think the people know who they are. That like they're in that category that we're talking about, where people have no hobby, let's call it hobby acumen, the ability to perform at a hobby level that we expect. Well, those people are either knowingly not putting in the effort, or they just don't have it. And for the people who don't have it, I appreciate that they're trying. I know that they're going to get better, and I know it's evident. You can tell right away when you're sitting down at the table with the person, whether they actually care about the hobby or whether this is a tax, if you will, to getting to the table. I had to get this to 3-color minimum. I had to make my model WYSIWYG. I had to put my model on a base. I'd rather just be playing with quarters here. It's very clear right away. I think if there is a way that either the individual event or the tournament organizer, or maybe it's just the social contract that you have sitting down at that table with the person, but you can out the person who doesn't care about that part of the game. It's like, find another game, man. Go play Magic. Go play chess. Find something where it's not a part of the game, because this game, it should be a part.
It's a lot of it, I think, is people trying to crank out a competitive list, right? Every time something changes and they want to be competitive, they change their faction, army list, whatever. Yeah. And they put the minimum paint job on it, and
they can
this is what I'm playing, so
yeah,
I get points.
That definitely bugs me, and both to Cody and George's credit here, I fully understand. Like, if you don't have the talent, if it's the first army ever, but you're right, you can look at that and go, sure, maybe that's a shitty paint job, but that guy tried. There's 6 colors on that, and there's like 15, and look at that base. He tried something cool with that base. You can tell the difference between that and someone who's spray painted his army 3 different fucking types of silver.
Yeah. Or it's that guy who sees your army and goes, hey man, like, can you give me some feedback? I'm trying to do that on this model, and he picks it up and he puts it beside yours, and he's going, how do I get this to that? And he actually cares, or she cares about getting to that point.
Well, and that's how you tell the guys that are actually passionate about the army that they've chosen, because they either like the fluff, they like the army, they're into the hobby for it, as opposed to the guys that are just there to rack their points up.
Yeah, so I'd say
crank out whatever army is going to work the best for them.
Like if we were to look at, let's bring this back to the Las Vegas Open and our experience there. Do you think that there was a pretty even representation of people who are whole hobbyists to people who are competitive, who didn't really care too much about the hobby side of things, or do you think that one side was weighing out over the other?
I will get back to this, like, the games that I played, the only table that I went to and I showed up at that didn't have an effort was probably the Eldar player.
And that was your
final
most competitive game?
And that was the most competitive game. I believe he ended up in the top 30.
I don't believe there was a single Eldar player that was under the top 100. I believe that was the stat.
Yeah, I was 90 actually.
90, yeah. And I played 2 Eldar players.
See, okay, now Lucas, like, do you feel like you worked all hard on your army, you did it all to get to LVO, you got there. Did you not receive any recognition for your army, or touch on that a bit?
So yeah, there's a lot of people came over and stopped and took pictures of my army.
That's gonna feel good.
That felt awesome. That felt great. So a paint studio took pictures and put it on their Instagram and stuff. G-Dub, like a G-Dub representative, stopped for like 5 minutes and like looked over my whole army and.
Don't you owe me some money? Because I think the first night I was like, I bet you any money I can show you your army on the internet.
Yeah, okay. So I do. I do owe you $10 for that.
We were in Vegas after all.
And then the paint judge wasn't giving feedback to anyone, but he did stop real quick and mention that he liked my army and stuff. And that, for me, and the LVO experience was the best part of LVO because I put in a lot of hard work, and the army's not even where I want it to be. I feel like it's a good, well painted army, and I'm happy with it.
You've got the base down, man.
But like this, like I'm right in front of me on this table that I'm looking at, I'm putting together Bjorn the Fell-Handed, and I can't wait to paint him because I know he's going to be 10 times better than any of my Mechanicum that I painted, and he's going to look great. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what he can do. All I know is he's going to kick the shit out of...
He's going to die to Magnus, and then I'll use him as a base.
But, so that was the best part. Playing the games was really... I don't know. It was fun, and I had a good time, but I think it was more of a learning experience for me than it was for a competitive. Like I wasn't going there to win LVO. I wasn't going there to even my goal was to win 1 or 2 games. I was like, I better win 1 because if I don't win 1, I'm gonna feel real fucking shitty. But if I win 2, I'm like a super happy guy. So
how did you finish?
I won 1 and I lost 4, 5. Wow,
hard to keep track of those numbers.
4.
Yeah,
you know.
And that's why it's nice, like you're saying, you put your armies out to be judged, and then you don't get any feedback on them. See, that's the part of, like, from the tournaments that I've gone to, I like getting the feedback on my painting because I like to make, when I go back again, I want to try to beat that, right? I want my army to improve at least.
Well, and I think that was the thing is like I know I'm not going to win LVO. I know I'm not going to be the best fucking player there, but I also know there's a painting competition, and I know I worked really hard. And for me, LVO was almost more about how does my painting hold up to everyone else that I play and everyone else that I saw there. And I honestly going there, I really felt it was a very low standard. Like I felt like my painting and my army was going to be like in the bottom 400 with my playing level. But after getting there, looking over the whole weekend, I feel like my painting was probably in the top 200 at least.
You know what, Lucas? You asked me this, and I told you, like, I'm not a professional painter, but I like to think that I have a very good eye for painting and artistry.
You're like a connoisseur.
Connoisseur, exactly.
Natural
And
painting.
I would argue that yours was in the top 10%. Lucas.
I would have to agree.
Yeah,
From what I observed there, like, and that's, I think, you know, we asked the question why. Like, Lucas, you're talented. You got a natural talent to paint. But I think part of it too is and this is something really a call to action to other gaming groups out there is I challenge you guys to set a standard with the guys you play with regularly. We all have it. You know, if you don't have guys to play with regularly, if you're regularly playing at tournaments and that's your regular play, you got to get some friends, man. Because aside from the game, you hold each other accountable, you improve each other. The feedback we're talking about that we wanted from the competitive judges is sort of affirming feedback or expert feedback. We get feedback from each other all the time, you know, and sometimes it's feedback we want.
Whether it's our inner groups or a Facebook page or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I think when Lucas shows up there at his first major event, his first LVO, with his first truly painted army, and he is in the top 10%, it's credit to his skill and it's credit to the standard that we hold each other to. And I think if we all as gaming groups held each other to a stronger standard of hobby, whether it's us actually doing it or you have somebody in your group that does all the hobby work or you hire a commission artist, doesn't matter, but you try to get that
That was
level.
for your benefit, buds.
on the table. It was definitely for buds. But you try to get it to that level before it hits the table. You're doing everybody a favor. You're doing the entire game a favor, and that should be recognized.
And I think
everybody likes playing against a nicely painted.
so. In LVO's defense and G-Dub's defense, they're doing the Warhammer Heroes now for guys who are pumping out, doing amazing things in their communities, in their gaming groups, just doing amazing things in the community.
Awesome.
And LVO has done the painting competition and stuff which they didn't have previously.
Yeah.
I think for me, first year, that's a great try. I really hope the following years that they take whatever criticism that groups like ours bring to them and they make that painting portion a much larger part of it. Because like I said, I wasn't there to win the tournament. I was there to hopefully have a judge from LVO look at my army and just even give me a 1 out of 10. Because like George said, these guys, I'm standing around a lot of really good painters and they're giving me great feedback, but they're also my friends. And they also don't want to fucking be like, hey, that model you spent 6 days on painting actually kind of looks like shit.
I will
tell
tell you
that.
But not fully. You'll say, that doesn't look too great. It's to get an actual judge to be like, you need to do this is a lot different than someone in your painting group. And I think that's what I was kind of hoping for, and I didn't get. Like, to set up my army, I was in a rush. We're hungover because we were drinking, and I set up my army. I look at it, it looks great. He comes over with a sheet of paper that looks like it was torn off, like a fucking newspaper, a piece of cardboard box, and he's writing down. And he looked frantic. I felt bad for him the whole week, and every time I saw him, he was like, oh fuck, I have 500 fucking armies to judge. Like, get 2 or 3 judges for the painting competition. Or like I said, make it Sunday when most people aren't playing or they're playing doubles. Or make it Sunday morning. Lay out your army for an hour, and then everyone can walk, take pictures, post it on the internet. Fucking.
And then guys have a couple days even to tidy up their stuff. Guys care more about ensuring that their reapers
And
stay on their bases.
anybody that doesn't care isn't going to show it on Sunday anyways because they're going to be freaking drunk or something,
won't.
I
right?
think that's a great
And
suggestion.
I will say, like, Dan, I don't know Dan's last name, the painting judge, but I pinned him down on Sunday, and I was like, what is your actual rubric? Like, I want to know, man. Like, I was watching you walk around writing numbers on a freaking piece of cardboard, and I was like, I need to know, like, what are you basing this shit on? And you know what? He gave me a good response, and that's all I can say is, like, I really didn't think he was going to be able to, but he
did look frazzled all week, and I felt bad for that
Yeah.
guy. Every time I saw him, he looked like he was like, all right, we need 3 more fucking judges.
But maybe there's not 3 more judges that are qualified to make those.
When we go to Bob Kelly's tournaments, and we've referred to it a few times, is Storm of
Think of how
Silence.
fast it's growing, though.
Storm of Silence coming up in May actually of this year, and Harvester every fall. They're amazing events. There's 60 player events right now, classified as a major GT with the ITC. 60 teams, and everybody leaves their armies out for judging because it's expected. And he has a minimum of 2 judges, minimum, and he goes judging every opportunity he gets, and he judges at lunch both days. So that says something to me. Like, if a 515 player, the biggest event in the world, has 1 painting judge, again, we got to put our priorities in.
Yeah, and Bob does it really well, right? Because it's not that you're trying to say, you shouldn't be playing if you're not a good painter. It's not that at all. It's just putting in that effort, and that's what Bob definitely tries to capture and reward. Is that if you're not quite there yet, because we all started somewhere, right? It takes time. It takes years to get a good painter, and you never stop getting better. But you can, like you said, you can look at a model and you can tell if a person's trying. And
Well, part of it is you're going to get the feedback to improve as well.
Yeah, and that's what he's really good at. He'll say, hey, you should try washing this and try doing this, try doing that, and try these techniques and ways to improve yourself. Right?
So I will comment on, and I've experienced this firsthand. I believe I was playing at the Harvester in 2016, and I was playing against a Necron player, and I showed up first game, and he had 0 models painted. They were all sprue gray. And Bob came up about halfway through our game, and I gotta be honest, like, he shamed that guy. Like, it was pretty bad. I felt bad for him after. Like, I was like, you fucking deserve it.
He outed him. He outed him at the table, and this is basically everybody is crammed into one room. It's great layout, but he was not talking quietly so that one person
Nope.
could hear.
That's right.
Good. That's how it should be.
And you know what? The person I was playing, I'm not going to get into names, but the person that I play against, he actually is one of the people involved in running the Brawl in Moscow, like a very big tournament, and he knows better.
And a whole hobby tournament.
And a whole hobby tournament at that. You know, and I will say I haven't seen the player with an unpainted army since, and I know that he received a 0 and became last place of that tournament because of that 0.
Last place overall, yeah.
Last place overall for
Yes.
that tournament.
So do yourself a favor, Bobby.
Okay.
Find somebody who will.
You know what? Like, at the same time, did Bob need to be harsh? Yeah, I think he did. But like, there's that whole thing. Like, you know, I play Warhammer. I'm not here to protect your feelings. Like, I really don't care. But at the same time, like, the sportsmanship aspect is like, hey man, like, I really don't care. If you feel good about playing that army, then great. I'm still gonna whoop your ass. It's all good.
All right, so taking away from the painting here for a second, because I hear a lot about turns game turns and not making it past like second and third turn. Do you think that there's something that needs to be done, whether it's on Games Workshop side, shrinking the size of the armies, going from 2,000 points, which kind of seemed like in the beginning of 8th edition, 2,000 points was kind of like the 1850 or even a bit less, but now as we're getting codexes and things out, it seems to be growing.
16 stratagems.
Yeah, and things are taking a little more time. So do you think they either got to shrink the size of the army you're using, or does like these major events have to start putting in something like the chess clock?
Here's the crazy thing.
Oh, the chess clock.
I am. The chess clock would actually be really good.
I don't know about
I got
that.
so well, not
Or-
maybe not
and
just
then-
the chess
and
clock,
you gotta
but
like- or
like
you gotta
like
penalize-
there's one game I
or
definitely
penalize
had
games
LVO
that don't
got
make it
slow,
past
slow
turn
play,
3.
Yeah.
and I don't have the balls enough to be like, hey buddy, hurry the fuck up because I want to get my turn in. What I think really it is that it's 8th, it's new, and not everyone knows their armies. Those guys that
I don't
See,
We saw
hear
top
that.
tables.
this is where
man.
we're disagreeing.
You guys have
here.
been playing those lists lots.
Oh,
They should
yeah.
know how the fuck they're playing.
40 friggin' rounds.
I will say that in Lucas, you have a good point. Like, maybe 8th edition for new players that are just getting into the hobby that go to LVO, like yourself. But at the whole time we were preparing for LVO, you're like, man, like, are people going to be pissed off if I'm looking at my book? And I'm like, yeah, Lucas, they are, because you're taking your sweet ass time.
Or they might.
You
I
know
can see
what?
if your book dropped like that week or something, or like 2 weeks before.
Yeah,
but,
but-
other than that,
They're probably thinking to themselves, it's AdMech, man. Like, you don't have any special rules or really can do
Well, it's not like Lucas played any of his special rules all weekend.
yeah, that was that too. I didn't
But-
play any.
So here's one thing though. Remember when 8th edition dropped? So a lot of people said 2,000 points in 8th is like 1,507.
yeah, but it's not anymore.
Yeah, but at that time,
Yeah,
all
that's
you
what I'm
had
saying.
was 3
Indexes.
stratagems,
Yeah.
indexes.
Everybody
everything
has
was-
the same ones.
Well, it's
everything
not
was fairly
indexed,
simple. Other than a lot of armies kind of got turned upside down on stats and stuff like that to memorize and movements and things. So now, the game's definitely way more complicated.
How do you think it's going to be when I start playing these Thousand Suns and Demon List all of a
Yeah.
sudden? And they have the Thousand Suns are going to have access to 18 psychic powers.
Yeah,
But that's your responsibility as a
Yeah,
player
I know.
to come to
You're
the table.
making
So-
and
a
write
conscious
rules.
decision.
But
and
it-
it comes back to, are you worried? Are you writing that list worried about a chess clock? Are you writing that list worried about a penalty?
Right.
You know, are you going to take steps? Like
So
I
you're
heard
going
a
to have
story.
to take that into consideration. But
Right.
I would take that into consideration so that I'm not shorting myself on turns come tournament
So
time.
Here's an anecdote from LVO that I thought was hilarious. Is there's guys playtesting their armies, knowing that their army, in order to succeed, needed to get to turn 4, and so they had to make sure that they could get to turn 4 in order to win.
Yeah.
They knew they couldn't control their opponent; they could only control their own game. One particular story: a gentleman had dice cups set aside, numbered with certain numbers for certain things, and he had preset each of those cups with the number of dice within it that he needed to do what he was doing. So he had his shooting attack for this unit, he had the wound rolls set aside, he had his psychic tests, all those kinds of things in cups off to the side so that he didn't have to worry about counting dice. And little things like that, is that really necessary in order to be able to play a game?
Well, I read an article today, I think, Bell Lost Cells. Did you read that one?
Which one?
And they were saying that they were talking this exact topic. Why is, with the simple rules of 8, taking it, the games are just as long and going just as far as a game in 7th. Why is that happening? And a lot of people are saying it's because of the re-rolls. There's so many dice now and so many re-rolls that it's eating up time.
Where what it should be is like +1, -1 modifiers instead of rerolls.
See, no, but the modifiers thing is that's what screws you, is because the roll, like the reroll rule states that rerolls happen after modifiers. So now you're calculating numbers of, oh, do I reroll that? Do I not reroll that? And like for me, my army is rerolling everything
But what we're saying,
all the time.
instead of that character that buffs you to get rerolls, he should be buffing you to get +1 on your dice roll. So you're not rolling, counting out your dice,
But
picking
I don't
up
think
your
that's
dice,
the answer,
rolling
though.
again.
The guy that's picking up 30 dice instead of rolling 12, and then 6, you know what I'm saying, as 30 dice. Like, I have 12 dice. That is all I play with the entire game, because I always know that I have 12 dice in my hand. You know what I'm saying? I finish every game. I have my army rerolls
When you say
every...
finish, 2 turn 5?
2 turn 6.
2 turn
I
6.
finish
6
every
games.
game.
Jeez, there should be a award for that.
So, like...
Like I was saying, there
Hold
wasn't
on,
an
no,
Eldar list that went past turn 3.
No, and that
LVO.
and that's where I was going kind
Unless
of
they table
with...
somebody.
I played a bunch of different lists. I didn't play the same list twice, same faction twice. I finished every game to 6. You know, I will say, I know we started this whole topic about how my games went, and it led to painting, whatever, but now we're back at the time limit, and I played Eldar in my last game, and I did finish the game, but my last few turns were very, very minimal, because I did not have a lot of stuff left on the board.
Well, some people were
Well,
saying
your army
That's what
isn't
you would
that
think
big
against playing
anyways.
Eldars. You think the game would finish because they're cleaning up so much in turn 1.
So some of the stuff I read too was saying that some people were like almost an hour just on deployment.
Yeah.
Well,
That is,
you know what?
That's
So
unbelievable,
the-
and not only that for top tables, like these guys should be able to. Yeah,
Their
that's
deployment
bad.
shouldn't change based on their opponent. Most
But
of the times
now,
they're deploying
is that
exactly the same thing.
is that the 50-man bubble? Is that the 50-man shaft that you're going 1, 2,
See-
3, 4, 5, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches? Okay, you deploy a unit.
That did come up.
1, 2,
That
3,
did come
4,
up.
5, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. Right? Like all those top tails. I'm new. I didn't watch those players play it. I went and drank alcohol because I was sad because I lost so bad. But did they all have chaff? I'm guessing they all had a bubble,
You
right?
know, Lucas, the best games that I played, like, and I'd like to get into those games quickly so I can explain. But that last game, Eldar had a maximum Guardian squad spread all over the board, and that did take some time, especially the close combat.
How many units?
1.
So that doesn't count though. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Sorry.
not talking about like a 120-man unit. I'm talking about the 15 5-man units to create
But
the chaff.
that happened though, Lucas. Like, that's what I'm saying. He had like 20 units on the board, and now I'm like, okay, we're going 1 for 1, and I'm almost like ready to just be like, hey man, like, I've got 13 units. That's what I had, and it does not take me long. I have the strategic setup doesn't change. My setup does not change game to game. It may change where it is on the board, but I know exactly where my models are going the second I see the
And
deployment.
that's
Okay,
one
so-
thing that's slower though with 8th for sure is going back to the old you do a unit, I do a unit, you do a unit,
Agreed.
I do a unit.
Agreed. That maybe
has slowed
needs
the
to
game
go.
down a bit.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like it too.
But
I enjoy that.
So, do you think the fix is shrinking the armies back to like 1850?
No.
Or time limit, come your turns?
or add more time to a game.
I don't know
Can't
if I'd
add more time to
to
a game when it was the
I
same
wouldn't.
for 7th, and 7th was ridiculous.
It's either you put time limits on the turns,
Or
or you
deployment.
have to put and deployment, or you put penalties for not finishing.
I don't
the game.
think this is a problem that didn't exist in 7th, guys. Like,
I know,
remember
but it still
not
needs a
finishing
fix.
the problem.
And
You know
it
what?
seems like it was pretty apparent.
Deployment is one thing you could put a time limit on.
You know what the
deployment
fix
should be
is, though?
fairly fast.
Is to say, hey, buddy, fucking, there's 30 minutes left in the game. We've only played 2 turns. You get 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
so
chess clock.
why don't you just do that from the start?
But you need to be
And not
able
be
to
5 minutes,
vocalize that,
like-
though, too, right? Like, you know what? Again, it comes down to sportsmanship. If Tony G, and I'm picking on you because you were the biggest, you know, publicly exposed douchebag at the tournament. You know, if you
At the emphasis on at the tournament. We
At
don't
the
know you
tournament,
personally. You
'cause
could-
like, I've
because
played
apparently he's a
great
pretty
guy.
good guy.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever. If you're playing and you take an hour for your setup and Buddy takes 30 minutes and then you play your first turn and it's another 45, like we're talking like, you know, like most of the game's gone here.
No, that game though, those guys agreed that they were going to try to speed up the game because they already knew that it was taking.
But here we go. Now we get to the
and
point.
then so
Yeah,
they're
tensions,
speeding up the game, and then shit got. You know,
But
that's
that-
when
that's
I
where
dropped
these
this guy.
games-
All of a sudden, okay, you're not in your movement phase.
But you
shit
know what?
happened,
If
but-
I played at top table, yes, if I did that same thing, I agree. I'm butthurt about it that he's doing it, but there's no arguing it. It's very clear on the rules.
oh yeah, it's the rules.
It says that. But you know what? Again, was it worth what you have endured? Like what you were exposed as for that? It makes no sense. It really doesn't. Especially when
Like I
you're playing
said,
live
when
on
all of a
TV.
sudden you got titles and cash on the line, people kind of lose track of shit.
Well, especially when you're that close. Right?
Yeah, but when you're in the semifinals, you're not playing for money. Not until that final game you were playing for money.
Well, you're playing for the money that you'll win if you get an opportunity.
You know
He
what,
was
though,
close enough
George, if
that-
I go buy a lottery ticket right now, I'm playing for money.
Yeah.
But you know what? If I lose my ticket and I find your ticket on the ground, it has your name on it, and like say I see you buy one and you drop it, I pick it up, I'm still playing for money.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So you're stealing my lottery ticket?
What I do know is
But that's the same thing,
is
though,
that
right? Like
if-
you're stealing a win from the
What
in the
you're basically
semifinals.
saying is I need to. The semifinal is buying the ticket. So if somebody was standing in your way to buy that ticket so you could play for money, would you not buy the ticket?
If they drop their ticket and you pick it up and don't give it back,
We
to
got to
them,
get off this analogy.
No,
This
but
is-
no, hold on. No, I think we hit it though.
Yeah.
Because you know, like if I'm playing in the semifinals, I'm in the top 4, like for players, and I know that the best player in the tournament is still in the game, and people are watching how I conduct myself. Is that one movement phase really going to determine if I win this game or not? At the first turn, second turn, it won't.
Well,
The worst
apparently
part
he had
about
an
it was
assault
it was
everywhere.
live too.
But that's what I'm saying is like, you know what? If nobody witnessed what happened,
Yeah.
no big deal. Like, yeah, that didn't happen. But
Yeah.
it exposed him as a really bad. Like he needs to win by playing that.
Well, it's why a lot of people don't go to tournaments, is that kind of stuff.
And that's where we get back to Lucas's question of like, do people really care about their armies? Not at LVO. But like when we go to the Harvester,
Well, there's obviously a culture there because sportsmanship isn't even.
I bet you're gonna see-
isn't really a thing.
More sportsmanship stuff come out of this.
Yeah.
This is going to be turned into a positive, rather than like that guy that donated $5,000 to him, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
As, for being a sportsmanship, and then he donated it to the child's hospital that his wife works at or
But
whatever.
like that's unreal. Like,
But
what
now
we're
LVO's
talking
seen
about-
that, right? So they're gonna pick up on sportsmanship
people
needs to be
want-
more
wanna
of a.
see,
We have to
right?
figure out this isn't how we want the game to be portrayed.
No.
Yeah.
We don't want people like this.
Well, and there's a serious cultural issue when people are like going, okay, it's a competitive game, so it's okay, right? When really the leaders of the pack should actually be setting a standard of what's okay for
Well, I
sportsmanship.
think the standard was set, and it was shown very clearly to him on his next game.
No, but you know what I mean. Though a lot of people
Just
they give
desserts,
people
man.
that buy, right? They give people that buy. Oh, you know, it's a tournament, so sorry, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I think that stuff like obviously there's places for things that where if you forget them, you're screwed because it's a tournament. I forgot to shoot that, and we're like pretty much done the turn.
Yeah,
or
that's what
whatever.
they're-
But like when you're like a lot of times for me at a tournament, the guy's like, "Hey, my movement phase is done. Okay, are you sure you remembered everything?" Like you shouldn't be trying to catch the guy to forget something.
No.
You should be. I mean, I don't see how you get any pleasure out of winning that way.
So now does Nick
It's not a real win.
Yeah.
in the final game does Nick let Tony get away with that if he didn't?
Oh, I would have done.
screw
I would have done the
report?
exact same thing.
Exactly.
And I would have
Exactly.
taken
And
great
And that
pleasure.
is exactly
Yeah.
my point.
And I'm certain he was looking for an opportunity to do that.
And
Oh,
what
he
made it
he knew. He saw that, right? He had to see it coming.
But he knew that was the best. That's what made it so sweet. Is he not only when he did it, he explained to him
Yeah.
This is
why
because
he did
what
it.
you
I'm doing
did.
this for this reason.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was
Friggin'
class
bro.
all the way to the top,
Yeah.
man.
Poetic.
And he deserved that win. There was nothing in question. Like, there was nobody going to that final game that wanted Tony G to win.
Yeah.
But so back on how the heck do you fix not finishing your games?
I think time will tell. I think really getting
Does
everyone a
it,
codex.
does it come to Games Workshop or does it come to the tournament organizer?
Well, Games Workshop, yeah, they can't really set tournament standards.
No, but what they can do is they see it's an issue
Yeah.
and they can either shrink the game size or leave it up to the tournament organizers to come up with a solution, either chess clocks or penalties.
So, we're about an hour in right now. Do you want to call it here, Lucas, or what do you want to do?
I think we push it to an hour and a half, and then we might split this into two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we can go part 2. So, yeah, let's put the. So we talked a little bit about the timings. We talked a little bit about our experiences overall. I haven't gotten into my weekend yet. I'm gonna tell mine later once we're through all of the actual champs discussion. But do you guys want to talk a little bit about who you played and
Yeah, I would like to
each
get into
individual
that.
game?
Yeah, so
we're not going to go into the detail of each game, right? We're not going to
Well, yeah, I can give a quick
like a synopsis.
synopsis of the game.
yeah, do a quick of all your games, and I'll make sure I have a 2-minute on all my games. But and I think
Why don't we
maybe we
start
talk a
with-
little
maybe
bit of
we'll start with
tactics.
you.
Yeah, we'll
let's
start with
start with
me.
Lucas.
Yeah, we'll start with me. Ooh, this will be quick. Game 1, I lost. Game 2, I lost. Game 3, I barely won.
Who did you play
four-
game one? Lucas, who did you play game one?
I believe I played Aaron. He was a chaos player. He had some hounds and some obliterators, which that was my first time ever playing against obliterators. Holy shit. That's a good unit, man. Great guy. I'm not really going to talk about like my games and what happened in my turns. I'm just going to talk about the players. I lost by about 10 points in that game. He came in with his obliterators, destroyed me off the table. But like honestly, one of the top-notch guys I played the entire tournament.
Let's take a beat to talk about, because we're making this a part. This is a part. Let's make it a part of our experience too. What did his army look like? What was his hobby level like?
So his hobby was good. Yeah, like I don't think his hounds were painted pretty good. His obliterators were painted good. Like everything was definitely he was definitely a hobbyist. He wasn't there to, you could tell that he tried for sure, and he wasn't just like whatever. He didn't really give a shit. And in all honesty, I don't think I played against I don't think I played against anyone who really didn't give it. Well, played against one guy who didn't give a shit. I'm not going to call him out because I don't want to call him out because I think, I don't want to call him out.
Which game was it?
But you're
I know because I can't even say that.
You're
So we
gonna
can look it up and call him out.
Yeah,
a 1 in 6 guess.
1 in 6 guess. I think, and you know what?
Obviously
and
wasn't
I
Aaron.
don't even know the guy personally. So maybe that is him trying. So that's why I don't want to call him out because I don't know if he was actually trying. I feel like he wasn't. But so yeah. Okay, whatever. Game 1, chaos player, really great guy. Had a super fun game. It was the perfect player for me to play against the first round because it killed all of my nerves. It killed absolutely everything. I was just so stoked. Really, really good guy. Couldn't ask for a better competitor in my very first game. I was worried I was going to get one of those douchebags who was like, you move that 1 inch and 1/2 quarter, your turn is over. And I was
you're
like,
reading your rule book and your codex, you're slow playing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a thumbs down on sports.
yeah. So I was really worried, and alas, I didn't. My second game, I played against. I had everything in notes, and now I can't remember. But Second game I played against Eldar, and I lost that. He was a good guy. I kind of felt like he was playing pretty slow. Like, I don't know if he was slow playing me, perchance, because I don't have so much experience, but he was definitely playing a lot slower than I was, which really bugged me, but also made me super happy, because one of the biggest worries of going to this tournament was me playing slow and not knowing all of my army rules and not having everything absolutely memorized and having to check every once in a while on stuff. And the way he played, I was like, whatever. And he won. He was an Eldar player. He's a real good player. But like, I got to like the bottom of turn 2, and he didn't even have that models. That wasn't unit. That wasn't unit setup. That wasn't my setup. Setup was fast. My first turn was super fast. Like, his turn was just so... God, it took an hour almost to do his first turn. And then when I came into my second, I was just like, dunk, 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 dunk. Okay, go, you go. Like, 'cause I'm trying to eat up points. And he... I'm not going to say he slow played me, but he was definitely playing really fucking slow. And he won. All right?
Was he playing, just the last topic before we move on to your third game, was he playing a Reaper heavy, like the Boogeyman list?
3 squads of Reapers, 2 squads of spiders, warp spiders, and he had a 8-man squad of bikers with like 3 characters in it. And that what's that character that everyone's taken Eldar wise? The starts with an A.
Assface.
Yeah, he had Assface, and then he had 2. He had 2 of the flyers, the Reapers. What are the flyers?
Swooping Hawks?
No.
Wraith
Yeah.
Hawk things?
Yeah, that to me, where it was -1 to hit because they're a flyer, -1 to hit because they're more than 12 inches away, and then the character he took also gave him a buff of -1. So those flyers were a -3 to hit. Like that's crazy.
He's playing a
Like-
Leotech as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, Leotech. That's what it
Trapper.
was, the Leotech. And it was just, I couldn't do anything. I after my first turn, I kind of felt like I was just like, what the like I can't do anything. So that was game 2.
Sorry, do you think Eldar plays so slow just because they're so involved in every phase?
I would have to agree with that. They're the most well-rounded army.
Yeah.
They have the most tools in their tool belt right now.
Yeah,
they don't
not
have
not
to
when
have
it takes like 15 minutes to move 1 unit 6 inches. That's not.
He
that
wasn't
has no-
slow playing.
And it's a
either.
one ball.
Not to say let's be really clear on that.
Right? It was just.
So,
you know,
so if playing at home and you're guessing one of the 6, this one's probably got better odds.
nice guy. I'd like. And then I played Blood Angels. Really, really good guy. He was definitely there to. I believe his name was Scott. Scott or Steve.
How was the hobby?
Hobby was decent. It was pretty good. He was definitely trying, 100%. 100% he was trying. I felt like his list build definitely wasn't for to win LVO. Like, he wasn't there as like a list cruncher, trying to kill you, right? He was there for the weekend, for the hobbying, and for the fun. We had a really fun game. It was one of the better games I played. I won that one on points, and I believe that one actually went to turn 5 when it was over. 5. I don't think we got to turn 6.
Not natural though. Not a natural conclusion. You guys.
Not a natural conclusion, but we did get to turn 5.
Yeah.
So, and that was I think that was the longest turn I had. Really fun game. Really nice guy. And again, not there as definitely not a list built for LVO. I didn't feel. The next day, come Saturday, first person I played was an Eldar guy. One of the best games I had in the tournament. He kicked my ass like full. It was like 21-9 or something like that. Dark Eldar. Again, there was like a bunch of minuses to hit. There was bikes and Reapers, and he definitely kicked my butt. But I think he played some people came over and they recognized him. He played a couple games on that mini wargaming website. Like, he's one of the guests on that show. And I was rolling bad. Like, not bad, but like so brutal that I was getting so angry. This guy was nice. He was like, hey, can we just stop for a minute? I gotta get out of here. I'll just back in 1 second. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I give a shit. It's 21-4 right now. Like, go do what you gotta do as long as you don't get more points against me. He actually came back with a brand new pack of dice and was like, "Go throw your piece of shit dice away."
That was so clutch. I got to witness. That was one of my
Best part of the
cruise
tournament ever.
That was a highlight for me for sure.
So, like, super nice guy, really good army, and hobby-wise, wicked painted bikes. He told me he took some like Halloween nylon stockings and spray painted all of his bikes to get the hatch to it.
Oh, cool.
And he did like a natural fade with his paints, and it looked like from afar it looked really good. They were really, those bikes were really striking. Like I could definitely see him taking those on like a mini wargaming website or doing a battle report with them, because they were beautiful.
Yeah, they were gorgeous.
They were really good.
Yeah, shout out to that. That was definitely one of the standout
Oh, that was
armies that we saw.
the best painted army I played all weekend.
So, sorry, I'd just like to interject. I don't have a lot of information at this point, but I came over to witness how Lucas was doing in his third game, or his first game of the second day.
Day 2, yeah.
And there was a guy, I noticed that Lucas was wearing a badge with like, George, what is that called?
It was a purity seal.
Purity
He all of a sudden
seal,
had a
that-
purity seal on his sweater, and we're like,
Oh,
what's
yeah, that
going
was-
on here? Like, admittedly, I saw that too, and I didn't say anything, but deep down, I'm like, how the fuck did he get a purity seal? I want one.
So I asked Lucas, where'd you get that? And it was actually the guy playing beside him. And
I've got one.
I don't remember where he was from or what. All I remember is that
He actually runs the Halo GT.
the Halo GT. And
So
now
what was
this-
it, like a pity award?
No, he made a whole bunch for his GT to
This
give
is-
to all of his players.
This is actually a real thing. Like,
It's
Yeah,
called
I
the
saw it.
Iron Halo GT, and I like, man, there's so much stuff to remember from that. I can't remember his name, but he did give me the website. It's ironhalo.org.
yeah,
And he
South. It's in the
yeah,
States.
it's southern.
somewhere.
Like it's probably not one we're gonna make it to, but just to throw out, we're talking about hobby acumen and just the overall game. Like I got this wicked purity seal now because he gave me one too because he saw that I was wearing the same shirt as Lucas, and he'd already given one to Matt, and he clearly didn't want me to feel left out.
So yours was the pity award.
Well, I mean, like this is red. It's like a legit seal. It says, "One cannot consider the fate of a single man, nor 10, nor 1,000. Billions will live or die by our actions here, and we have not the luxury." And then it's torn and burnt, and it's got a pin. If I wanted to wear it on my shirt, I could. I've got it now in my display case with my finished painted models. It's going to sit there as a memory of my time at LVO, even though I didn't play. So it's little moments like that are so cool.
And I will say that I really wish I remembered his name, and maybe it'll come back to me. But he actually runs this GT, and they run it at a youth camp, and all the proceeds go to unprivileged youth. Like it was just like it was a really good story. It was a really good guy, and
Talk about a hobby hero.
hobby
Yeah,
hero,
that's
exactly.
definitely
and
a
I
hobby
just
hero
wanted to
right there.
I wanted to touch on that because it was really like I was like, this is what we're doing here in reality. Like this is what it's about: the camaraderie and guys doing really good things out there. And
Yeah.
I really wish I remembered his name.
It's definitely great to be hanging out with a guy next to you when you're losing 21-4, because at least you can turn to that guy and be like, "Oh fuck, man, how's your day going?"
And he was playing Orcs.
And he was playing orcs in a shitload of orcs.
Just on the subject too. So I noticed his orcs, and he had all these like really unique looking buggies or wagons. I don't know what he was playing them as, but I'm like,
Yeah,
dude, these
those
are
were
legit.
cool.
And I'm like, where did you find these? Where'd you get these? And he had designed them himself, and he had a 3D printer, and he printed them and painted them, and they were clutch. They were really good looking. And,
Yeah.
so shout out on that front as well. Like tight on the hobby, unique. I guess orcs, you kind of got to come with that unique vibe, but man, he was all sorts of good for all of us
Well, that's
to
good.
talk about now and share. So that was game 4, right, Lucas? What?
Yeah, that was game 4. Game 5, I played against. Oh, geez. So it was Elder, Chaos. I can't remember.
And they played Blood Angels. And then...
Blood Angels. Game 5, I played. I have it all written down.
You played Dark Angels.
Oh,
You played
right.
Jace.
Yes, I
right.
played Jace
Jesus.
from our. Yes,
Our friends
right.
from the south.
Our friends from the south. I played Jace.
The Betty's Fighting Havenicus
Yeah.
is the team.
It's their club.
That's who I played. Sorry for my shitty memory. I do live in British Columbia. So,
Read between the lines on that one.
yeah, Blood Angels, or no, it was Dark Angels. Really good game there. It was pretty close. The thing that killed me in that game was the regenerating characters, the characters who get a fire before they're actually dead. That fucked me over royally. It was insane. I would take out an entire unit, and then he would fire back and kill like 3 of my units.
Dude, what
Like-
are you talking about? The characters?
So he's got
It's a banner.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Standard
So
banner.
the
Yeah.
the
Champion or the ancient with the banner.
Yeah.
On a 4-up, you roll, and the guy shoots back when he's
Yeah.
dead. Yeah.
So he
put that on.
put that
Blasters.
he
It's
put
awesome.
that in the center. He put that in the center, and his whole army was buffed by that, basically. So everything I wiped out in my turn, he wiped out something back, or like
He had a chance to.
had a chance to.
But it sounds like he was rolling pretty good for it if he was tit for tatting you that badly.
He was wiping entire units off the fucking board
So that's how
with that
Anderson
game.
did
And how did Jace's army look? Because I followed Jace's army, and he came to the table on Facebook and was like, "This is my army. I'm painting before LVO," and he had like a month.
No, I think it was 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I think it
Okay,
was
2 weeks. Fair enough. All right, I'll give
And
you
it
2
wasn't
weeks.
just him; it was also his girlfriend
His
Laura.
girlfriend,
They
Laura.
were
Okay,
both sitting
so
down and painting their
give me.
armies in 2 weeks.
I didn't know this backstory before now. So you're saying he had 2 weeks to complete a fully gray army?
A fully
Yes.
build.
Primed.
And yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so for doing all of that in 2 weeks, it looked good.
Okay.
But Jace, we're not letting you off that easy.
So, if he had more time, I don't know if that was the green that he may have gone with. It was like a
That was the green he chose.
okay.
That was the green he chose.
All right. If I was a Dark Angels, I would not pick Seafoam Green. No offense to Jace, you're a great guy. I love you. That Seafoam Green ain't doing no good on those Dark Angels.
The emphasis on dark.
And
Yeah.
you know what?
Dark Angels.
There may be a little bit of animosity between the clubs there, just a little chirp, but Jace, Laura, you guys, it was great to see you guys down there as well.
Yep. Yeah, and it was great, and I'm looking forward to the Harvester maybe
Getting some,
winning that game.
Yeah, getting some payback.
Getting a little bit of payback. And you know what? Hey, maybe my Wolfen won't be ready in time, and they'll be Seafoam Green too. But that was my 5th game. Final game, I played against Demons. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I played against. He had 2 or 3 different codexes, I think. He had Khorne demons. He had Tzeentch demons. He had Nurglings.
They should all be in the same codex then now.
Well, no, he had 2 codexes for sure. A minimum
He
of
was
2.
playing
Marines?
Death Guard and he was playing.
Oh, there you
Demons,
go. Okay.
Because he had Poxwalkers.
He was also playing so many minis that he decided to just carry them in a Ziploc bag, but not like your regular here's a sandwich bag that should fit a unit maybe if you stuffed them in there. I'm talking like a freezer, like one of them.
Yeah, the
Oh,
extra
I just killed an elk, so grab me those freezer bags, honey. Because I need to put my huge slabs of meat in these fucking freezer bags.
So how did he? So this wasn't his transport mechanism. This was also how he deployed his summoning.
Oh yeah, this is definitely how he deployed his units. He he opened up his Ziploc bags and turned them upside down. Gave him a good shake to make sure all of those models were over the table. As soon as he started doing that, I was
To
like,
his credit, they did land in coherence.
They did.
Yeah.
Well,
They're all
and
within
to
2
his
inches of
credit,
each other.
I'm glad he actually took him out of the bag because I thought you were gonna say he just fucking plopped the giant Ziploc bag fucking on the.
Oh no, I wouldn't have let that happen. Okay, so preference
Lucas has
though.
standards, guys. You wouldn't have let that
Preference. This guy was super nice. He was a teacher from the Midwest. It was like his 15th, or I don't know. It was like his 8th or 9th LVO. He had like every single LVO wristband on.
How was his body?
How was his
Really
body?
good shape. Really good shape. You get a good runner. He. It was again. It was the last game. I came in and we're like playing for 400th. Am I going to be 409th or 410th? Well, it's a real fucking important game at LVO. I understand where we're coming from at the last game, but still playing the game, you kind of want to like play a full game. You want to do all of your turns. I still wanted to win one, even though I would prefer to get in 409th instead of 410th, okay? That's all I'm saying. So he had about, I'm going to say, close to 90 models on the board. And that took a solid hour and a half just to deploy. But mainly because there was like a bathroom break and a beer break and like a couple breaks in there. And again...
So that was during your turn, though.
Yeah, definitely during my turn.
So are you serious? Or
No, not during my turn.
So, sorry, he took a bathroom break while he was deploying?
Well, there's no... Even if it was my turn, it doesn't matter because I deploy one unit. I got to fucking wait for him. Right?
But that didn't happen.
Oh,
So
so
he left
He left to go to the bathroom and he left to go get a beer.
Again, super nice guy, right? And again, we're in 400th. It's the last game.
Yeah.
Who really gives a fuck? Maybe me a little bit. Maybe me just a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, like, I guess he won, like, a beer hammer tournament and stuff. Like, he definitely feels like he's,
He's got a body for life, though. Like,
yeah, like, he's
Why
definitely,
do you
like,
keep bringing that up?
a hobby.
Why do I
hobby
keep bringing
player.
this up, please? Why do I keep bringing this up?
You're shaming some guy? Why are you not hitting that pitch?
He definitely mentioned that he can run an 8-minute mile. I don't understand.
At what point?
I don't know. In between bathroom breaks.
Okay. So maybe he was running an 8-minute mile. He wasn't actually doing a bathroom.
Well, he wasn't fast enough to be running no 8-minute mile in his bathroom breaks. I don't know about that.
Okay, so what do you remember his name?
I do not remember his name. He might have been or started with a C. I know that. I have it all written down. I'm definitely not prepared tonight. But our next podcast, I'm going to rep out everyone's names real quick that I played with just to say thanks. Because they're all good games. But, next time you play, bud, just not a sandwich bag to deploy your units. That just made me feel like shit. I was like, look at my army. I spent so much fucking time on my army, and you deployed them with a sandwich bag.
I'm going to throw something out here. So Paul Murphy, who I'm alluding a little bit, but somebody did have an opportunity to play Paul Murphy, who's the host of the Forge the Narrative podcast. Great guy. Paul has talked about on his podcast before that he used to deploy his zombies for his renegades with sandwich bags. And it saved him time. Like, he needed it.
Great.
I don't think this guy needed it for his bloodline. Like, he literally had sandwich bag upon sandwich bag lined up in a duffel bag to carry his army. And, like, let's go to hobby. Where was his hobby at?
4 to 10.
He was...
Well, like, was it even 3-color?
Yeah, so everything was 3-color, and you could definitely... This guy tried, because we talked about painting techniques and other things to do with painting, right?
Calm down, Buzz.
Like, not eating it or what?
No. This guy was super nice. He was a teacher, really smart, like, definitely... and he was someone who for sure was trying. He did not take 2 weeks to put his whole entire army together and paint it. He was like really trying hard.
What did you think about your Mechanicum?
I could
Must have some
probably
feedback
have
for
a
you.
few more highlights than I do. Right, I only have 2 highlights instead of 3. So
Let's hear your third.
Should he? Here's the question. Like, we know that LVO was kind of strapped for painting judges. Do you think that maybe he might have been a good person to reach out to for painting judge?
Again,
Or was he
and trying to
actually
be as nice as humanly possible, I think maybe. So, how are your games, Matt?
I'm just gonna throw it really quick. Just a disclaimer. When you're playing somebody at the table, and we should be able to get that vibe. Not everybody can. I know there's lots of mental health stuff out there, and it's all respectable. Let's kill the taboo.
Well, let's talk.
Let's talk, everybody. Bell Canada. If you find yourself in a position that you want to give somebody a score on their paint, and it is asked for or not, if you are not a paint judge, either don't score it or score it in a way that you're actually giving some criticism that's helpful.
You better be quality yourself.
Yeah, this is not
If
cool
you're
when
going to
not.
criticize somebody else.
Oh man, you better. Well, I think that's part of the problem. Is some people have an opinion that they are. It's like the old karaoke deal.
You should be able to look at one of your models and somebody else's model.
Yeah.
And score appropriately.
Yeah.
So maybe just don't.
And
maybe
maybe,
just
like,
talk to. Let's put it this way: you don't have to do. It doesn't have to be quantitative. You don't have to give numbers. You can be qualitative. Give some feedback. I like this part. This part could be better. That's helpful. But telling somebody that their army that they've been working on for the last year diligently is a 4 out of 10, when your army is probably not
Sitting on the
even a
side
4
of
out of 10.
sandwich bags.
Yeah, man. Like, just that's kind of a foul.
In all fairness, that was a highlight of my weekend. Hearing that.
So this we learned of this. Boz and I learned of this when we were all talking about learning what score everybody got, and to this day we still haven't been able to actually find the scores.
Yeah,
for
what the fuck?
appearance.
We're
So
still
we're just gonna
dumpster
have to
diving.
default to that. At least Lucas knows he's
Lucas
at least a
pulled
4
away
out of
with a
10.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Fuck you guys. All right, Matt. On to you.
Okay. Any questions about Lucas's games before we get into the top tier games, or?
Oh,
Nothing. Yeah, let's.
Okay,
Yeah,
I do have 1 point.
Any questions about the bottom 400?
Actually, yeah, I'd like
What
to talk-
were the techniques that Jerry used when he forgot to put his blood letters on the table? Yeah, let's talk about those. Fuck you guys.
I just want to say we need more of us to go next time so that we're not just listening to Boz.
Let's talk and try to.
Please.
In all
Pop
fairness, I had a very lucky weekend. And lucky with my matches, as you guys will find out soon after I get into my games.
I thought you were going to say it's all the incredible training you get from your opponents say, up here in Canada that help prepare you.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be some kind of
in all fairness, like I played probably 20 games against Lucas to prepare, and 1 or 2 games against Cody. And
I got your
That's about it.
pushed by Cody.
That's
How
about
many-
it. Yeah.
How many games did you
I
play
was
against
at
Outback?
one point.
That's
I
good.
was not going to LVO because Cody's turn-ins beat me so bad on the second turn that I was like, "This is not even fair." So, before we get into that,
Welcome to my 6 games that I played this weekend.
All right, so I show up first day 1, and I'm playing a gentleman of the name of Scott Freeman. I'm not exactly sure where he was from. He didn't look like he was a competitive player, and I'm not saying that by the way he played. I'm saying that like next to us was one of his
His appearance or what?
one of his appearance, body, physique. One
look
of
like
one
you
of,
can run a
one of
8-minute
his
mile there,
teammates
bud.
beside me was chirping him to no end. Like I'm nervous. I get to the table, and I find out that I'm playing a Custodes army, and I was just like, it was like I don't know, like a weight just came off my shoulders. And I said to myself, if you lose to this army, you do not belong here. And the only reason I say that is because I am playing a super elite Space Marine army. It's very unique as far as I'm concerned. But his his buddy was playing beside me and was chirping him the entire game. And Scott was playing 2 Custodes squads, each in a Venerable Land Raider. He had 2 Acolytes, sitting on objectives. He had 2, the assassins. What are the psychic assassins?
Colexus.
Colexus assassins, and he had a special character by the name of Rex. I actually don't know his
Hector Rex.
Hector Rex. Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
And they were all in reserve. I was playing on a Necron board. Frontline Gaming's boards are actually really, really nice. I'm looking to buy some at the moment, but their quality is actually very good. So anyway, we started the game. I believe I got first deployment. I started off to play my scouts. And I was obviously going to lose to him because he had only like 6 or 7 units. And he set up his Land Raiders and such, and I believe he had first... No, I actually seized on him, I believe, again. I was very lucky with my dice rolls this tournament. Those Venerable Land Raiders, I really felt bad for Scott because he thought that they were a lot tougher than they turned out to
way
be.
too many points for what they do.
They are a lot of points. I blew up the first Land Raider. I think that was all I could actually see the first turn. Allowing him to move into a building. I was playing Recon, Old School, and Big Game Hunter because of what I was playing. I think we played 3 or 4 turns, and I ended up tabling him. His Venerable Land Raiders didn't actually kill a single thing. I don't even know if he killed a single model on my army. He made the mistake of bringing in all his characters at once, and I flew my Fire Raptor in between all 3 of them and killed all of them. And the game finished naturally as a table. But in all fairness, that army is what I want to play against, the elite army. And I played like shit. He played way better than me. I don't even think I deserved to win, but he just did not have the tools to even compete with me.
So you'd say your list beat him?
My list beat him. Yeah, because like I gave up an easy 5 points.
Yeah.
During the game, he would be calculating, and I'd be like, "Well, I'm stupid. Like, gave up. I should have got like more objectives and whatever, killed more, whatever."
Yeah.
And I was playing awful, and maybe that was nerves. I don't know. Maybe I was overconfident about what I was playing against. But anyway, nice guy. He brought a bottle of scotch to the game, and we had a few drinks. And I guess I'm not mad enough because I don't like scotch. It was gross to me. But not mad enough.
Being buds.
But in all fairness, it was probably a pretty nasty bottle of scotch. And finished the game, good terms. Guy was a good guy. Moved on to the second round.
How was the hobby on it?
You know what?
does
In
that
all,
look like?
it was pretty good. Like Custodes, in my opinion, are like the best models in the game. So like even 3 colors on Custodes models look really good.
So gold,
Gold.
and
Gold, purple, black.
You could do a
and-
silver highlight.
Gold and silver.
Yeah.
No, they had highlights, but they like
Gold
you
and
see
red.
that
Red for the
gold,
cloaks.
and if the bases are done, and the gold is
I like the
there,
purple for the
they
cloaks
look
better than the red.
really, really good.
Yeah.
The Colexus, I didn't pick up any of his models, but they all looked like they were like painted to at least for the quality you would expect for LVO. Like minimum, but they were there.
Again, I think we need to stress that our
We're kind of painting
Standard.
snobs,
yeah,
right?
we're
Sort of
painting
hobby
snobs for sure. Our quality is maybe I just think our quality control is probably
Put
a
it this
lot
way,
bigger
I didn't
than some
even
other-
I didn't bat an eye at the quality of his models.
You weren't like, oh man,
Yeah.
you could have done more.
I actually looked at one of the Custodes and was like, man, I need some of these models because these are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he
that's
did
good.
have Forge World Land Raiders. I know the Grav tanks. He was playing as Land Raiders, so they looked really good.
Talking about the Custodes models, I'm holding right now the Virtus Praetors 3 bike unit models right here, and these are for my wife. Pretty sure I'm building them before I give them to her.
Yeah, I don't know how much are they for your wife.
They're definitely for her.
Yeah, I got to figure out a way to do that, Nick. Where I talk my wife into starting.
I didn't even talk to her. She just said, well, if this is what you guys are going to be doing, then I got to fucking get in on it. Otherwise, I'm spending 0 time with you. I'm like,
What's
yeah.
going to be really sweet is if she builds an army that is like the hard counter to Nick's Blind.
Divorce.
I already
That's
told her
fine.
to throw out his dice.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Matt.
All right, so moving on to game 2. Had a solid lunch break. We all we met with Bob Kelly and his team, and we all went for foot-long hot dogs and pizza. I think Lucas had 3 footlongs, but
We're talking about
That's-
lunch, or
Wasn't,
We're talking
wasn't
about
yours,
lunch,
that's for sure.
One bite.
so I actually met a Dark Angels player by the name of Aaron Wish. I believe that's how you pronounce your name. This was by far the best army that I had come against in 8th edition so far. And maybe it was the way the game went. But I played against his army with my army, and he had 3 of those Dark Talons. And the first turn, they were -3 to hit. And after the first turn, like I rolled really well, and I got first turn. I killed a 30-man conscript squad with heavy bolters, and I also destroyed all 3 of his flyers first turn. And
how did that
You're lucky there.
I still am baffled by
see,
that.
like with my rerolls, with my chapter master, I rolled. I remember this one roll specifically. I rolled 3 6s, and then with my reroll, that was a 1. I rolled another 6, and it was just straight damage. And the look on this guy's face, he is like he's very involved with the community, from what I understood. He plays on one of the more prestigious teams. He was a good player, but after that first turn, his morale was destroyed. He was, at that point, he was like, you know what, the game's over. Like, we could probably call it. I'm like, you know what, man? Like, me feeling confident that the game was over, I was like, let's just play it out. Like, you want to get as many points as you can. And boy, did I regret that at the end of the game, because he came back with a vengeance and ended up, I believe he tabled me by the end of turn 6. He had a squad of Dark Knights. I believe that's what they're called, right? On bikes with a plasma.
Black Knights. Black Knights.
Black Knights, yeah. And so they all had plasma. He dropped a squad of intercessors with plasma. And not only that, he had Samuel on a land speeder. He had a lieutenant on a land speeder. And he had 2 Dark Shrouds, all basically one big Death Star. Moved up the board. He killed after he moved, I realized how poorly I had played my position, and he killed my Punisher and my Leviathan. And the Punisher died from the Black Knights, and my Leviathan died from the one squad of intercessors re-rolling hits and wounds.
Did he
from
play
fighters.
the stratagem to +1 to the damage on the
Yeah,
plasma?
of course he did.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty savage round of shooting, and at that point I was like, you know what, I still got lots of shooting, and I'm okay. Like, he did a lot of damage, but you know, no big deal. Like, I still am getting all my recon. I'm getting full points for the turn, no big deal. And then I rolled, and I whiffed, and I didn't kill a single thing with my Fire Raptor, my Preds, my Scouts.
It's funny how math works, eh?
Yeah,
Because I'm guessing you rolled a few 6s to take down all those
I did. Yeah,
talons at the beginning.
Of course. And then, you know what? In all fairness, I think Aaron would agree. His rolling for command points and wall saves for his bikes, it was absolutely insane. The next turn he followed, he killed my Fire Raptor. And to be honest, the game was pretty much over at that point when he was able to get in close combat. And I did not expect that from Dark Angels. Like, I know they got a new book, but they were basically playing the same army that I had, except they had close combat as well as shooting. My army is just strictly shooting. And he laid the smackdown on my candy ass that game. And you could tell, because, like, definitely the morale had changed at the end of that game, where he was high on life, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I lost that game.
We all
But
know how you are
in reality, I was like, I don't know if I could have won this game because I did the most damage I thought I could do first turn because he had hurtled up behind a building and I killed all his flyers. The only thing I could see, and his conscript squad. Like, what else do I do? And he'd come back and he just maybe if I would have played my deployment a little bit better, it would have been better. But you know what? I was having a good time still.
Well, turn a shitty dice roll and can turn it.
Oh, for sure. And LVO, I'm out LVO, and like I was never gonna win every game. And I played Dark Angels, and I underestimated them after like I'd done that much damage. But he came back, he won, and then there was the whole crazy Best Coast Pairings app failure, complete failure.
Wasn't
which
the app failure though?
The app failure. Well, I don't know though.
No, it wasn't. It was one of the guys deleted
Yeah. He deleted
the second round.
Whether that guy is still working for Best Coast Pairings or not.
He's the creator, so
Oh, it was the creator that did that. Okay, well, whatever.
that doesn't usually happen because he's like the only one that has access to be able to do that.
In fine Bod's fashion, outside of 40K playing, I was running my mouth steady about the whole thing. Like, if they're not done within 10 minutes, like I'm leaving.
Yeah, this is both at this point. So I'd spent the first day predominantly situated in the Hobby Hangout, which afforded me the time to do some painting and get to know some of the artists in town. And at this point, both Lucas and Bods are now in the Hobby Hangout with me, and I'm going, why are you guys here? Like, it's supposed to be round 3 is supposed to be starting. And yeah, I think we were sort of talking. I was sort of mediating between Lucas and Matt. Matt wanted to call it quits because he'd lost, and he wanted to hit the strip and go and get hammered. And Lucas is like, dude, like, let's give it some time. Luke, I think you were more like, no matter what, I'm going to see this through, like, until they call it. Like, they haven't called it yet. I'm like, well, at least give it like half an hour.
It was an hour in already. I'm sorry, but it was.
It was an hour and a half.
It was a long time.
Yeah.
Listen to the LVO podcast; they explain it all.
Yeah, so I'm now sitting here and I am drinking, and then all of a sudden I look at my phone and it's like, oh, your pairing's up, and I'm like, come on, like really? Anyway, so I show up to the table for my third game against George.
It's Paul Murphy.
Paul Murphy, and I am unaware of who this guy is I'm playing. In all fairness, I showed up and I was probably intoxicated, and I was looking at his army and I'm like, oh. The guy playing against a Blood Angels
friggin'
player,
Nick's
steady,
army.
and he's a dickhead.
Was it?
No, it wasn't the same.
Because I looked at that list, I was like, no.
You see Mephiston, you see Blood Angels, you're just like,
He
okay,
got a little
whatever.
special character happy.
Yeah, and that's the downfall of Blood Angels.
And you know what? Paul Murphy, he was a great guy. After I realized, once we set up and I was like, talked to him a bit, I was like really into the game.
Sorry, who's Paul Murphy again?
He's the host of Forge the Narrative,
Yeah, okay.
which
So-
is an exceptional podcast. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you're listening to that.
And not only that, I was like a little irritated that we're waiting to get into the beer line. And it was like 200 people long and there's no water at LVO, whatever. So George actually brought us some beers, and I had actually waited in line and picked up like 3 beers as well. So I was drunk. And I called George over to come, and then he's like, oh man, you're like this guy. And I'm like, hey man, like we're playing a game, but like hang out. And he talked to Paul Murphy for a while. And he was essentially running a counter list to mine. But once he deployed, I realized that he was not the Blood Angels player I was used to playing. And
You're not a douchebag?
no, he wasn't a douchebag. But
So you had a good time.
yeah, so I had a good time. And
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Didn't have an optimized list, I think is what he's going
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Sorry.
So
Sorry.
Paul wasn't able to see your army list before you built it.
yeah, he didn't have leaked details. But so
We're ribbing Nick right now.
Yeah, we make probably more fun of each other than we do of anybody else. Just so, you know, it's all in good fun.
except body break.
And that's true.
Yeah, body break gets no breaks.
So anyway, we started talking. Paul is doing like crazy stuff on the board, like crazy fun stuff. It's not going to win him the game, but he ends up like
There was some clutch maneuver. Like he calls him Banguinius.
Banguinius.
Slamguinius is his actual name, by the way.
Sorry?
Slamguinius or Captain Slam.
So he has the standard Blood Angel captain with Storm Shield and Thunderhammer.
Which did the work that
So
he
if you give him the relic, where the jump
did.
pack, so
Yeah.
you re-roll your charge range, you don't
Yeah.
get Overwatch.
we all know your
Warlord
G
gets
is
plus
okay?
1 damage to
Everybody's
his
aware of that.
Thunderhammer.
So he offered me his list at the beginning of the game, and I was like, no, man, like, it's cool. Like, play what you're playing. Like, who are you playing? He's like, oh, I'm playing Lee Martez, Mephiston, and Sanguinius. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I didn't hear Dante in there. And I definitely didn't hear a captain on a jump pack, but whatever. So he played, he charged, actually was able to get Mephiston into a Predator first turn. But at the same time, I was like really happy that he charged the Predator and not anything else.
Because he was in range. Didn't he, like, he also baited you. You baited him with your Leviathan, didn't you?
I did. I actually put my Leviathan at the other end of the board, hoping that maybe he would bring something over there to kind of deal with it. And he dropped his Death Company with Lee Martez. And I was like, man, are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, actually, first turn, he moved his Fire Raptor to shoot at the Leviathan. I was like, dude, like, you probably don't want to do that. Like, you probably won't kill a Leviathan, and you do more damage at this. Like, if I were you, I'd bring it over here and kill, like, a Predator or, like, something that's more critical to my army. Because, like, once I realized, like, he wasn't the, like,
at least tie
crazy...
something up that you're not going to die when you're charging an Overwatch.
Exactly, yeah. And, so he dropped his Death Company at the Leviathan with the Martez, and I was like, okay, well, they'll probably kill the Leviathan. Like, whatever. But I want the Leviathan to get charged. Like, that is his whole thing. He's got 2 heavy flamers, and he's got 2 storm cannon arrays. So he's got a lot of shots. What ended up happening was the Fire Raptor didn't kill anything, and it died first turn. And Lee Martez and the Death Company. Lee Martez doesn't get to charge with the Death Company, like 7th edition rules, and he doesn't get to reroll his charge, which is crap as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah, he buffs them, and then he's left standing by himself.
yeah, exactly. So the Death Company make it in, but they took a savage Overwatch from Leviathan and ended up killing like 10 out of the 15.
Ugh.
And the Fire Raptor died the first turn. And the next turn, the Captain come in. I totally forgot about the Captain. Charges the Fire Raptor, immediately destroys the Fire Raptor. Like, not even close. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what I get for, playing.
I thought he wasn't running a captain.
No, he did. I just wasn't thinking about it at the time.
didn't hear it.
He's saying Mephiston, Sanguinius, Lee Martez. Yeah. And so what I drove 2 multi-melta attack pikes up and just nuked the captain. And at that point, pretty much the game was over. Sanguinius dropped with a squad of intercessors, I believe, as well, and they were also nuked the following turn. And
Yeah, I think he ended up picking up your Fire Raptor, and he nearly cleared the Leviathan. Like he sort of was picking away at it.
Actually, Lee Martez, because I charged Lee Martez with the Leviathan. Brutal mistake, because Leviathan without close combat weapons sucks. Like, he's brutal.
Again, another example of the versatility of having those Terminators. Like, he ended up dropping. It was It was a mission where there was 4 pointed. It was basically a polygon of objectives, and the deployment for BODs was Dawn of War. So there was an objective in sort of center of each deployment zone, and then an objective mid-table, but at the opposite points of that diamond. And the Terminator squad was able to drop in at the back. I think BODs held them until 3rd turn. Dropped in, scooped up the I think it was a Primaris unit, whatever the standard Primaris is that Paul was holding that objective with. Dropped in, they succeeded on a charge, they spanked those boys, and capped that objective for a lot of late game points for Matt. And he wouldn't have had that opportunity against an army like Paul's if he was relying just on like his attack bikes to scoop those kinds of objectives, or if he was relying on his just the regular mobility of his vehicles. I think that was a smart choice, other than maybe comparing those points for efficiency to like an Inceptor unit, which we've been encouraging that, like, dude, like the Primaris are gorgeous. Like, why are you not getting any Primaris
They're good.
models? They're super good and super point
And he's like,
efficient.
no, the Scout model's better. I'm like, no, they're not.
His face right now, like when he mentioned Primaris and they're super good, he winces like somebody's just smacked him in the sack or something.
Yeah, the whole Primaris thing is like,
Like, I'm not a fan of them, but the models. And
I
the
still
rules, they
think
work.
that they're overpointed. But anyway, so I played Paul. The game was really fun. They have definitely brought me back from my loss against the Dark Angels, and it was a good game. I definitely took it was my strongest win. I think I won 40 to 12 or
Thanks for
whatever
that,
it was.
Paul, for poorly representing the Blood Angels in the map for me.
If he listens to this, that will be a very strong insult.
So I
Poorly
hopefully I can play him
represented.
again, but great guy. Check him out. Anyway, so game 4. We went out, we partied, we had a good time, we gambled, we won some money. Well, I won some money. And the next day, I hadn't even thought about who I would play. Usually that's not me. I like to prepare and like kind of get mentally focused. And the next game I went to, I woke up in the morning, I looked at the Best Coast pairings app, and I looked and I played 5 Fire Raptors, a Baden, 2 squads of Brimstones, 3 squads of Nurglings, and a Chaos Sorcerer.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Showing up to this game, I have 1 Fire Raptor. It's the best thing in my army. I was like, okay, what chance do I have of winning this game? It was the guy though. I got there and he had 5 Fire Raptors, Nurgle, and they were all converted, like had hobby into them. They weren't great, but they were definitely had effort. Like in all fairness,
I saw pictures of them. They look pretty decent.
and the guy
They
was
had,
a
like,
great guy, probably the funnest
light
guy
all over them.
I had to play all weekend. His name was Joseph Kulas, and he was from Team Warthog. They're down south somewhere. I actually don't remember exactly where they were, but we set up. I'm like not confident. He gets first turn, and of course I seize again.
Wow, I checked this guy's dice.
Yeah, seize again, and
What, do you see like 3 times?
Coming from you?
but
You gotta roll 45 sixes in a row.
I don't think any of us are.
It must run in the family. I played the kids the other day, and oh my
god. We know how Carter plays games too. We've played.
Yeah, he uses your dice.
god. Yeah.
So I end up. I figure this game. I'm like, don't have a shot, but I'm gonna get as many points as I can. First turn, I kill both squads of Brimstones with heavy bolters. I kill 1 Fire Raptor. I drop Terminators on his edge of the board, and I take a few wounds off another Fire Raptor. His turn. His only strategy, really, I guess, drop the Deep Strike Batten in my deployment zone, moves his Fire Raptors in around them, and he is now 4 Fire Raptors surrounding my entire army with Batten, rerolling hits and wounds. And for whatever reason, he did kill the Terminators, but he decided to shoot the Leviathan. If you're listening to this, Joseph, that is what cost you the game. The Leviathan didn't die; it had 3 wounds left, and Leviathans don't really downgrade that bad.
Yeah, they have a really sort of optimized tick down. Like normally, models suffer for what they're best at, and the Leviathan doesn't need movement. He doesn't need close combat. He's still pretty combat effective, even when he gets down to the bottom barrel.
So we get to my turn, turn 2. I kill. I honestly, I rolled so good. I annihilated all 4 of his Fire Raptors. The look on his face is just like, what just happened? And then in his turn, he charged a Batten into the Fire Raptor that was hovering on mine. and he died to Overwatch. And at that point, the game was basically over. I didn't score a lot of points because I did so much damage the first 2 turns. He didn't have a lot of points for me to optimize at. I was never going to be able to control his objective because he had his Chaos Sorcerer in a building on an objective. And I only have like a few infantry models of my actual army to go into the building. So at this point, great guy, had an awesome game. He's like, that's Warhammer. And I'm like, yeah, man, like that's great. I would have been, like, if I was him, I would have been fucking crying probably, like, so sour. Had Fire Raptors that lost to 2 Predators and a Fire Raptor, essentially.
And that was game 5?
That was game 4.
That was game 4. So let's stop it there, and we'll do another podcast right after this, and we're going to do 2-part. This is LVO 1, and we'll hit back LVO 2. We'll listen to Bods' last 2 games. Talk a little bit. We'll talk a lot more about George's LVO experience, painting, hobbying, and hanging out, and our doubles on Sunday. And then we'll talk some hobby, and maybe Cody can get in on a little bit of this. Nick's got to go. He's got some Blood Angels dice to roll. All right.